welcome to this week's video. Now on Sunday I went to see Joe Bonamassa playing at Brighton Centre, which is just down the road from me. I've mentioned this gig coming up in several of my recent videos and I thought I'm going to have to go and watch this now. I've mentioned it so many times, but I left it right to the last minute. I went online, I bought a ticket about 7 o'clock, got straight in my car and the concert started at 8 o'clock. Now I'm glad I went. I enjoyed the gig. I stayed till the end, which was more than can be said for a gig I'm going to mention a bit later. But after watching it, I thought, I'm going to sell my guitars. All but one. I'm going to sell my guitar. And it might not be for the reason you're thinking. Let me play you this and see if you can think what the reason would be that I'm saying that. What do you think? I'm thinking of selling all this lot, because if like Joe's, they're all going to sound exactly the same. Actually, I'm being a bit facetious here. I mean, partly because Joe goes on about his guitar collection. Apparently he's got like 400 guitars, 400 amps. He's playing through the most sought after equipment in the world. He's got those Dumble amps, he's got those Burst Les Pauls. I mean, he probably had on stage £2 million worth of, or $2 million worth of guitars. I don't know, I'd have to guess at this, but those, I think he had 2 Sunbursts, he's got a Dumble amp. I mean, those alone is going to be getting on for $1 million, I'd have thought. And I've seen videos where he's going on about with the Les Pauls, well, you know, if I back this off 2.3 millimeters, I cleans up and all this kind of thing. He's all got these all precision little techniques for getting a sound, and then when he plays live he's got so much gain on his amps that they all sound the same essentially. I mean, not really, and I have to say, when he turned the guitars down, which he did a couple of times, which I'll show you in a minute, you really could hear the differences with the guitars, and actually they were my favourite bits of the whole gig. So let me just play a couple of those bits here on the Strat, and I think the 335 and the Les Paul. Got some little bits where he just played a bit more quietly, backed off the volume, and they were actually for me the best bits of the gig of his playing, so check these out. Now I want to show you the gig I did the day after, and this is just a bit of camera footage, and I played my 335 because actually I thought out of all his guitars the 335 did sound the most different to the others, even more different than the Strat did to the Les Paul, but the 335 had a kind of woody sound to it, which I do like. So I played my 335 on my gig and I played my Strat, and I think maybe this is the Dunning-Kruger effect here. Look it up. Maybe I'm misjudging myself here, but I thought I got a pretty good tone out of my 335 and my Strat, and I thought they sounded different. I didn't have as much gain, but then what do I know? I was playing to about 1% of the number of people that he was playing to the day before, and I've got quite decent gear. These are custom shop guitars. I was playing through a hand wired amp. So check this out, see what you think of my guitar tone on these. butt in here and just mention that I've got a library of video guitar lessons online. Beginning country guitar one, the newest one I've put up there is all about doing left hand damping, but I've got lots of other solos. I've got show you how to play the end solo from Sultans of Swing, a solo from Hotel California. I've got some Nile Rodgers funk stuff, various other stuff. There's some monthly subscriptions or some of the lessons you can buy separately, so go and check them out. They're on my website, iamtjwalker.com, and at the top of the page there's a little tab that says guitar lessons. So to review the show, I have to say it was a brilliant sound. I really thought it was a great sound. I mean, I've often had good sounds when I've gone to that venue. It's not too big. I think it's about, maximum capacity is about 4,000 seats. Joe did say it was 3,000 people, so I'm not sure exactly how many were there. But the last big gig I saw there was James Taylor. And one of the first big gigs, well no, the first big gig I ever went to was Europe in the late 80s probably, playing the Final Countdown. But one of the most significant gigs I ever went to there was in the early 90s. I went to see Eric Clapton there, and it was the first time he played Tears in Heaven live, because it was the first date of that tour where he first played that tune. And I have to say that was one of the best, most moving gigs I've ever been to. So my last minute seat I was on the front row of the south balcony, so I was facing straight onto the stage to one side, but I had a front seat which I paid a little bit extra for that seat, rather than, I could have got a seat for £10 or £20 less, but I wanted one at the front just so I could get these video clips without someone's head in the way. Now also, he's got a great band. He's got Josh Smith on guitar as well, who I follow on Instagram. He's a great guitar player, and as Joe generously said when he introduced him, he said the best guitar player on stage tonight. And in fact, let me show you a bit of that, because out of all the things, all the guitar playing that I watched all night, there was nothing Joe did that I thought, oh, that's interesting, I'm going to go and work that out. But there were a few things that Josh Smith did. Particularly, he did that Danny Gatton trick where he's pedalling a note and then playing a tune over the top of it. I didn't capture that. I wasn't videoing too much, so I actually wanted to watch and enjoy it. But check this out. Check out what you think of Josh Smith's solo here. So as expected, he had a fantastic band, and what I didn't realise is the keyboard player, the older guy on the keyboards, was Reese Winans, who was Steve Ray Vaughan's keyboard player, who of course is brilliant. Here's a little snippet of that. I didn't manage to catch keyboard solo, but here's a bit of him playing with Joe. And one of the things that I thought was a real standout in the band is the two backing vocalists he had. Now, they're clearly both fantastic singers in their own right, and I think both artists in their own right. He was saying one of the singers was on tour coming up, and she did this bit of vocal business on this track, which I managed to capture. It's absolutely brilliant. And when the pair of them sung together as a section, they sounded absolutely phenomenal. So let me just play you that. Now, I also have to say, I know Joe's known for his guitar playing, but I do think he has got a fantastic voice, and he reminds me of one of my, if not my favourite singers, Paul Rodgers. He really does, in certain bits of his voice really sound like Paul Rodgers, and I've got this little clip which I think does sound pretty like Paul, so check this out. reason why I'm doing this video is I want to find out why it is that people like Joe Bonamassa so much, and why he's so popular, and why he manages to get so many people to come along to his concerts, because I did enjoy it. I went to see it, but the only things that I would say is there was nothing in the concert that moved me. As I say, when I saw Eric Clapton there 30 odd years ago, there was just there was a magic there that moved me. I remember going to see Little Feat while Paul Barrere was still alive. In fact, it was all the original lineup apart from Lowell George the first time I saw them, and there were moments of it. It just absolutely, I was sort of overwhelmed by the music. When I saw James Taylor at the Brighton Centre, same thing. It's just something about it. But I didn't have that with Joe. It was brilliant. The sound was brilliant and everything, but there wasn't anything that moved me. Now the funny thing is, recently, and I did a review on this gig as well, I went to see Marcus King in London. And I left before the end. I've only ever done that on 2 gigs. The other one was Return to Forever. Stanley Clarke started strumming his double bass, and I thought, this isn't for me. And I left. And I actually left the Marcus King gig early because I just wasn't enjoying it. There was solos going on. And like Joe Bonamassa, I think Marcus King has a fantastic voice. He's a fantastic guitar player. Now, this is another thing with Joe. With Marcus King, he has some fantastic songs. I don't remember any of the songs that Joe played, apart from he did a Freddie King cover, something off the Burglar album. I think it's the first or second track off that, which was really good. But there's no song that the songs seem to be a vehicle for his guitar playing rather than the songs itself. Now, this is just personal taste. I like to hear a song, and I didn't get that from Joe, but I did from the Marcus King gig. And bizarrely, even though I left the Marcus King gig early, I would probably go back and see him, because there's something about him that I think actually next time it will be different, and it will there might be something, you know, there's an excitement there, there's a danger there with Marcus King, there's something unpredictable about him. With Joe Bonamassa, I probably won't go again, although I enjoyed it, because I'll probably see this something very similar, and I know it will be good, but it's not going to be exciting or be something unexpected. The other thing that I was quite surprised about, because I've seen lots of interviews with Joe, and he's a sort of good speaker, he's a good communicator, and I have to say I really do admire him. I admire his career, the way he's, you know, without that sort of mainstream radio play and all that kind of thing, he's got an amazing career playing in front of loads of people, and he's clearly very popular. But he didn't speak to the audience at all for, I think it was almost an hour before he said anything to the audience apart from thank you. And then when he did, he kind of seemed to rely on swearing to kind of ingratiate himself towards people, almost like it was a kind of crutch. It's a bit like if you watch Wimbledon tennis, you know, the level of humour there, because it's so staid and everyone feels so kind of inhibited by the whole situation. There's a comedian on UK TV who says, you know, the humour there, if a bird lands on the net, everybody bursts out laughing. It was a bit like that with Joe. Everyone was a bit on edge, and then he'd drop the F-bomb and everyone would burst out laughing. And that seemed to be the kind of extent of his banter, which I was quite surprised about. Now, another gig I went to see recently, another sort of contemporary blues artist, I went to see the Trucks Tedeschi Band at the London Palladium. I'd say that was fantastic. I mean, again, that wasn't a great show. I could see Derek and Susan, they were kind of weren't pleased with the sound, and the band looked bored actually. But the difference with that moved me, that gig, because Derek's guitar playing is just phenomenal. I think he's one of the best players in the world out there at the moment. It's not because it's flashy, it's just his kind of feel and the little details and the intricacies that I thought was brilliant. Didn't find the same thing with Joe. I mean, he is technically a brilliant player, and he does a lot of that sort of fast Eric Johnson type picking, but it didn't move me in the same way that Derek Trucks did. And what the other thing I found interesting is that as a musician, my Facebook friends are a lot of musicians, and you kind of get the feel for what people are going to watch. So if Wolfpack are on, or Corey Wong, you'll know there'll be a handful of people going, or Dirty Loops, or all these musician-y type bands. And loads of people went to see Trucks Tedeschi. In fact, I think that's how I found out about it a can't remember, and the James Taylor gig. There's certain bands that musicians would always go to see. Not a single musician said they were going to see Joe Bonamassa, which I thought was very interesting, because I'd have thought as a very guitar-y based show that lots of musicians would go to see him, but I don't think actually he appeals to guitarists in the same way. I think looking at the audience, it didn't strike me as being lots of guitarists, or certainly not sort of pro guitarists who do it for a living, were going to see him, which I thought was interesting. So I'm asking this genuinely. As I say, I enjoyed the show. I'm not criticising Joe in any way, because I know people do that unfairly, probably because they're jealous of him. I am jealous of him, of course I am. I'd love to be doing the kind of gigs he's doing, but I'm not jealous to the point where I don't like him. I think he's great. I think it was a great show. It was a great band, great sound, but I'm just intrigued as to why it's so popular. Not because I don't think it should be, because I don't totally understand, and I want to try and copy it so I can make my show more popular. That would be the key to this. So leave me a comment, let me know, why is it Joe Bonamassa is so popular? How come he's managed to create this amazing kind of career for himself, and play to loads of people, be on the road pretty consistently, and have one of the best guitar collections in the world? You know, who wouldn't want that as a guitarist? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave you with another little bit of recording that I did. I bring out new videos at 7 PM UK time every Friday, and I hope to see you next week.
Mm-hmm.